Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. Today I'm reviewing the new album from Green Day, Saviors. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist I put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. So I've been a big Green Day fan ever since the first time I heard Dookie way back in 1994. And I've loved most of their albums that they've released since then. But over the last, I think really ever since American Idiot, I think there's been kind of a drop off in their music. So I was really looking forward to checking out Saviors when it was first announced. This was released back on January 19th. It's their 14th studio album. This is, like I said, this is the follow up to their 2020 album Father of All, which I think it's kind of widely seen as the worst album from the band, or at least one of the worst albums from the band. I think the thing they did great with this album was they brought in Rob Cavallo, who they've worked with a bunch of times. Of course, he did Dookie, he did American Idiot, he did all their big albums all the way up through. The last time the band worked with him was on the Trilogy albums back in 2012. But I didn't really know what to expect with this album. When I listened to Father of All when it was released, I've listened to it several times, especially recently, kind of lead up to this album release. I just didn't like the album. I didn't like what Green Day did with it. They tried to do this kind of garage rock kind of sound. I don't really think it worked, and some of the lyrics on that album seemed almost kind of lazy and didn't really seem to have the energy that Green Day albums typically have. So, I was really I was anticipating this album, but I think my expectations were kind of tame because of how much I disliked Father of All. But they've been kind of teasing this album for I guess it's been over 2 years now. I think it was November of 21, I think, when they started teasing out on their social media. And originally I think this was called 1972, which is the year that all the band members were born. And of course, over 2 years, the album changes, and the song structure changes, the title changed. I'm sure that they ended up with a very different product than what they originally intended for when it was first kind of put together. So the band released 4 singles off of this album before the album came out. So they released 4 of the 15 tracks, which isn't terrible. When you can, I typically have an issue, especially over the last couple of years, where bands release just a ton of singles off of the album before you actually get the album in your hand. There's been times where I've had half or over half of the album come out, and then you kind of sit down and listen to the album, and you're like, yeah, well, I've already heard a lot of these tracks over and over again. I feel like it steals some of the anticipation for a new release. So that's why most of the time what I do is I'll listen to 1 or 2 tracks off of it. I think I listened to 3 of the 4 of these singles before the album came out, just kind of get a feel of it. But I didn't want to listen to them a bunch of times. I think I only listened to each track maybe twice, just kind of get a general feel of the direction for this album. Just because, like I said before, I didn't really know musically where they were going to go with this one. But I really like those 3 tracks. So at least I had a good idea for that. I was expecting this to be a good album. So now that I've had a full week to sit down and listen to this album a bunch of different times and really kind of digest it, I really kind of see what Green Day was doing with this album. I think I can give a pretty decent review of it. So this album was produced by Rob Cavallo, like I already said. It was mixed by Chris Lord-Alge. They did a great job with this album. As far as production work goes, it's what I expected from a Green Day album. I've never had a production issue with really any of their albums. Especially since Rob has done so many great albums over the years. There's really nothing different on this one. And the thing I really noticed right away was this sounds like a Green Day album. This is the first time in a while that Green Day has released an album that really truly sounded like a Green Day album. You can hear influences from a lot of their other albums. I can hear stuff from, Insomniac on here. I can hear stuff from Warning on here. I can hear 21st Century Breakdown. A bunch of different albums throughout their career, all kind of put together with other influences that kind of make up this album. The album really starts out strong. It's great track after great track after great track across the first half of the album. Dilemma, I think, is one of the best albums that Green Day has made, since American Idiot. Probably the best song since American Idiot was released. And, it's such a strong beginning of the album. I think the second half kind of trails off a little bit, where the first half is all killer. I think there's some filler on the second half, but I think really overall, it's a really strong album, a lot stronger than what they released with Father of All. And with all 3 of them being in their 50s now, it was always going to be hard for them to release an album that has the energy of those first albums. It's something that just isn't going to happen. I think they do a really good job encapsulating that and bringing a lot of that back into their current sound. I think this album still has kind of the same issue that I had with Father of All, which is the lyrics. Lyrically, there's some parts in this album where lyrics are a little corny or a little lazy, but I don't think they're in like as big of an obvious way as they were on Father of All, where, Father of All, like I said, it was just a kind of straightforward garage rock album, but it didn't, the sound didn't really work for Green Day. The lyrics didn't really work, where I think there's a little bit better on this album. So like I said, the first half of the album, I don't think there's a bad track on there, but some of my favorite ones, like Bobby Socks is a great track. Dilemma, like I said, one of the best tracks that Green Day has released in 20 years. 1981 was a little bit of a different kind of track, but I still really enjoyed it. Goodnight Adeline was a great way to end that first half of the album. But side B, I really like Strange Days Are Here to Stay, Living in the 20s. But I think that's kind of it. I think there's some songs. I don't think there's a skippable track on here. I should say that. But there's some tracks like Corvette Summer, Father to a Son, Saviors, Fancy Sauce, that I just don't think really work the way the band really intended them to. So as far as like an overall grade for the album, I think it's a fantastic album. I think this is definitely head and shoulders above Father of All. I think this is the best album that Green Day has done since American Idiot. As far as like scale 1 to 10, I'd probably, after listening to it over the last week, probably give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really strong album. I think they kind of misstepped a couple of times on this album, but nothing to really kind of, make me not want to listen to it. So as far as the physical packaging for the album, I did buy the indie exclusive, which is just on it's black and pink split. And then I also pre-ordered a copy, one of the exclusive copies through their website. I knew the copy I got from their website was not going to be here anywhere close to release date. It takes anything I've ordered, anything from the website, it always takes a week to get. So that's why I decided to go out and grab this copy also, just because I wanted to sit down and listen to it. But they did the one thing that I kind of have an issue with, as far as a lot of other new releases do this. I know Red Hot Chili Peppers did this a couple years ago with both their new albums. And that is they release it in a standard sleeve, but they also have one version that's like a deluxe version that comes in a gatefold. I did like the gatefold version a little better, but I did buy it on CD too, so I know what the gatefold looks like. But the gatefold, the deluxe version, also has embossed lettering on there. A little bit better look, but I wasn't going to pay the extra couple of dollars for it, and it was on standard black, so I'd rather have the indie exclusive version of it, just because I think it looks a little bit better. But I don't like that they charge a little bit extra. If you're going to do a gatefold release, just do the gatefold release on all the versions of the album, and just charge an extra $1 for it. So it has just the standard front on there. I have a resealable sleeve, so it's kind of a little glare on there, and that's what the back cover of it looks like. And then for the CD, same thing, same cover, same back. And then the gatefold on the CD is the gatefold that you get in the deluxe version. So that's the gatefold picture there. And then the CD just has the Green Day Saviors on there. And then, like I said, the vinyl is just the split black and pink. There's side 2. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. I think this is great, man. I really enjoyed this album. It's great to see it. I think Green Day has their mojo back, releasing good albums. I think this is great for their future. Can't wait to see where they go from here. But make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of this album. Have you bought it? Do you own it? Have you listened to it a bunch of times? I'm always interested to hear your opinions on new releases. But like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.